Hi. How can it be Sunday already? I feel like we just had Sunday. Welcome to this video where I'm kind of just doing a little bit of a lot of different things, getting my stitches out, running some errands, and going to a bee fest that was at the Paseo Plaza, downtown El Valle de Anton. Isn't it funny how things change when you get older? I grew up in a pretty decent sized town, but always felt so bored and like there was nothing to do. And now I live in a tiny town and I love it. The Paseo Plaza in El Valle is where the Ray supermarket is. There's also a veterinarian office, a couple of boutique stores, there's a gym, Cafe Unido coffee shop that's also in Panama City. And they'll have different events, like this was a bee fest. Sometimes it's a little unclear as to what to expect from the event. For instance, they posted a couple of flyers in the El Valle Facebook group, and it looked like it was a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, but it wasn't really clear to me because the announcements were in Spanish what the event was and what time things were happening. So through other people commenting on the post, I got an idea that Saturday there was actually like a car show, and then Sunday there was going to be a honey tasting, and different artisan vendors would be set up displaying their goods. So I didn't sign up for the honey tasting because I didn't know if it was going to be paired with any kind of food or anything fatty like cheese, which I can't eat right now. But I came to the event and I stocked up on some honey.
We cut some of it.
I'm sorry.
I was like trying to pick out little bits of words.
Okay,
and
we
I'm like,
have different kinds. Okay, we have this one with pollen. This one is spicy.
Picante.
This one with nuts,
oh, okay.
and this one with pollen.
Oh,
No, sorry, this is with the panal.
And I stopped in one of my favorite stores and picked up some incense. This was on a Tuesday. I had a quasi appointment to get my stitches out. I was told to arrive at the hospital at 6. I got there a little bit later, and then I stood in line. Then I went and stood in another line. Then I went to pay for something. It was $3 to get my stitches out. Then I went and waited in another line. Then I was brought to an area where we could sit and wait. And then finally my name was called and I was brought into a room where they removed my stitches, and then I was sent home. Well, it's 9:30. I just got my stitches out and I got here at 6:30. So that was 3 hours, and I think like an hour into being here, I thought, you know, I probably could have gotten my stitches out in El Valle at the little hospital that we have. It's a maternity ward, and you know, just for like emergency like stitches or if you have a fever or something. So I probably could have spared myself getting up at 5 o'clock and driving down to Panama. But now that I'm here, I'm gonna go do a couple of errands. I need to get a pair of shoes. I've had one pair of shoes that I wear and they're falling apart at the seams. So I'm gonna go look for a pair of shoes. I'm gonna try and find some breakfast. I brought my digestive enzymes with me. Then I have to go to Fastbox in Coronado and pick up some microphones that I ordered for my phone. that are wireless so that I can do interviews, and maybe they'll be a little easier to record sound, you know, my voice, whatever, when I do the garden update videos, for example. All right, I'm off. Feels good to just be done. I'm done. So that's good. This is where I'll come sometimes for like a larger store. There's the Ray. Gonna check out this Sportline store, I think, for shoes, maybe. And then I saw a little coffee shop down here. Gonna see if they have a little breakfast that I can get. I'm never here this early. And then there's a Do-It Center at the end of the plaza. And I need to get some citronella candles, because it is that time of the year where mosquitoes are feasting. No luck with a pair of shoes, so I might have to wait until the next time I head down to the city. I went to a local bee fest that we had at the Paseo Plaza here in El Valle. Sometimes they have different events going on there, but I love honey so much. And of course I had to go and check it out. And then they had chocolate there. So I can't not come home without some chocolate. And I figured I would do a little taste testing. So I got Panama Oeste province, this honey from Veraguas province, got this one. And then this woman that I chatted with this brand, she's doing all sorts of interesting creations. I don't know if you can see like the orange that's infused into this honey. And then this is honey with beets, which I thought was really interesting and never seen that before. So I wanted to taste that. And from 𝐾𝐫𝐶, I got a 70% and a 50% cacao. And then I also bought a small bar that had mango in it, and that was really delicious. And of course, having just come out of surgery, they had cacao cream, and I got that for putting on my scars from the stitches. And this was $3.50. I thought that was a really good deal, and it smells amazing. Like, it just smells like you want to eat it. It smells like a dessert. It doesn't smell like a body product. All right, I'm gonna try the honey first. The first one I'm trying is from Panama Oeste. Just gonna give it a smell. It smells really good. Kind of like, almost like there's a cedar quality. Not quite, not eucalyptus. Yeah, it has like an earthy quality to the aroma. All right, let's give it a taste. It's interesting, for as earthy and deep as it smells, it actually has a really nice, light, floral note on top. This would be really good just on toast. I usually just put the honey in my tea, or, you know, maybe have it on toast. This is really delicious, very flavorful. I'll give that one 3 Bs. The second honey I'm trying is from Veraguas province, and they actually keep their bees. They're beekeepers. The one who does the Culinary Honey, right now she's sourcing honey from a local trusted producer, but then making her products. All right. This has kind of like a floral and hay component on the nose. I used to work in wine country, so I learned a lot about the aromas and the flavors on the palate. And, you know, really you use that for any product, not just wine. Coffee, you do coffee tastings like that. I've even tasted different salts. Not that you can smell, you know, the difference between salts, but I took a cooking class years and years ago, and you know, it was just really surprising to be tasting different salts, but they're so different. And same thing with honeys, because it depends on what kind of flowers the bees are pollinating. I've also tasted a honey that was only derived from bees that were pollinating orchid flowers. That was like over the top, like silk threads of deliciousness. All right, so I'm gonna try this one. This has a more kind of hearty, a hearty texture and flavor. This is perfect for my tea. It's got a little bit of like caramel notes in it. Really delicious. I'll give that one 3 Bs. Next up, I'm gonna taste the honey infused with orange. It just looks beautiful with those orange slices. Let me give it a smell. Okay, the orange slices are very heavily layered on top. Let's give it a taste. As you would imagine, very prominent citrus aroma. That is a very, very thick, viscous honey. You can also see like how dark the color is of the honey, especially compared to the lighter, maybe you can't see with the glare, but the lighter color. I honestly don't get a ton of the citrus. Actually, probably using the orange, like this would be a really cool idea. I'm gonna taste the orange. Hold on, I'm gonna be right back with a knife. All right, I'm just gonna eat a piece of the actual orange itself. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Placing a piece of that orange that's been infusing the honey on a brownie, like a warm brownie, would be incredible. I'm not sure I'm gonna be eating brownies anytime soon, but if you're a brownie baker and you have some orange infused honey, or just do it yourself, that is delicious. Now that I've tasted the orange, I do see that the honey has that citrus flavor. It's just more subdued. You know, it doesn't have like that bright citrus note because it's been infusing in the honey. I just love this aroma. It's very deep, kind of almost like a little bit of molasses. 3 Bs. Now onto this really interesting combination of beet and honey. Let's give it the aroma test. Gonna mix it up a little bit. Very dark. You know, you can see the beet color in there. Interesting, for as dark as this is, and also very viscous, on the nose it's much more light. It has actually more of a light kind of citrusy note than the orange one had. All right, now I'm gonna taste it. I'm so excited. You definitely get the earthiness of the beet. This would be so good on a salad, you know, like making a vinaigrette with this beet honey, because it's got that earthiness, but also the sweetness of the honey. You could put this on chicken, maybe some roasted vegetables. Very interesting. I'm gonna see if I can dig down a little bit because there's like a little foamy part on top. Now let me see if I get a different flavor. Same flavor throughout. There's like this little kind of foamy, creamy part on top, but it's the same flavor. That is really interesting. And I think like a vinaigrette on there, or like to have like a cold potato salad with like a little bit of a Dijon and honey, you know, vinaigrette on top of that would be phenomenal. 3 Bs. All right, let's move on to some chocolate tasting. I do kind of know what to expect because I had the little mango bar. So this little bar was $2.50. This is the sweeter bar of the two, because this has 50% cacao and the rest is sugar, where this is going to be 70% of the cacao, so it's going to be obviously less sweet. All right, open it up. Just a note, when you come to Panama, see if you can find some chocolate that truly is handcrafted. You know, this is wrapped in foil. It, you know, has the paper on the outside, but this is hand wrapped. So this is going to be like super small batches of cacao, and it's not going to be, you know, like perfect looking. This was the same with the other bar. If you were seeing chocolate at a chocolatier, it's not going to look like this, right? It's going to look very glossy because they add cocoa butter, I think, and it wouldn't have like these little bubbles. You know, this is obviously like very rustic, handmade. It smells like the forest, the jungle, you know, like the rainforest jungle. And that's where cacao grows. It grows in the kind of warmer, cooler actually, mountain regions, and it likes like the dense forest. It likes growing underneath a canopy of trees. I mean, I could smell this all day. It's really very similar to how this smells. Oh my God, I just love them all. All right, I'm gonna taste it. So perhaps this is a little bit old. Maybe, I don't know if you can see in there. It's very granular, so the chocolate probably didn't process. Like, I don't feel like the sugar, you know, was really melted and incorporated enough. It's got a much better aroma than it does taste, but I have to say the little bar that I had with the mango was so full of flavor, and it almost had like this kind of tobacco and coffee quality to it, and I loved it with the little pieces of the mango. So don't let this discourage you from getting some handmade chocolate. I mean, you're supporting, you know, local families who are probably buying from obviously local people. Unfortunately, a lot of the cacao beans are sold, so they're exported, so there's not a huge amount of cacao that's being kept in Panama. There's some, but just like with the coffee, I mean, coffee, there's a lot more Panamanian coffee that you can find, but not so much with the cacao. So support local growers, local producers. it's a lot of work for them to put a brand together, you know, going through the red tape of dealing with the authorities that they have to deal with to get permits and all of that stuff, even just to get their labels, you know. I did a video on, you know, my friend Lynn in Bugaba that has her chocolate club, 𝐾𝐫𝐭𝐢𝐬, and I've seen her grow over the years, but you know, it takes a lot of intention, patience, stamina, and it's definitely not an easy task, and you have to be kind of passionate about what you're doing. So thoroughly enjoyed this tasting. Hopefully you did too, even though you didn't really get to taste anything yummy. Oh, and just a side note, if you get chocolate that's not super yummy just in its form, like I probably won't eat this as a bar, but I will melt it down and add like some almond cocoa milk and just make a hot chocolate from it, and it'll be delicious. Well, remember that truck that was coming by at 9, 10 o'clock at night with the siren going and the music, and it was so loud? Well, it did stop coming by at night, but there he goes. 4 to 5 times a day. Up and down, back and forth. At least it's not at night. And I realized why that bothers me so much more than the metal collector or the fishmonger or the chicken guy. It's because this bakery guy has every sound going. He's got the voice announcement, he's got a siren, he's got music. So I think it's just the cacophony of all of those sounds, whereas all the other ones just basically have their announcement. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me this week on some little updates and the artisanal honey and chocolate tasting. And I will see you next week. Probably gonna have like a little garden vivero video because now that I'm getting out and about more, and more importantly that I have paid off my debt, I have some funds for plants. Gotta feed my plant addiction. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.